I've been coming. I'm going to continue to come. Skip's been coming. He's going to continue to come. And people just need to get over that.
The World Baseball Classic has been nothing short of awesome this time around. It's been fun, intense, loud, and just an awesome experience all around for not only just the players representing their countries, but the fans who are doing so passionately as well. The Dominican Republic team was loaded. Like, it was almost unfair with how talented that roster was. Yet, in typical baseball fashion, just like that, the DR is done, beat, out of the WBC now. So how did that happen? Well, after winning some games they had to win, it all lined up for both the DR and Puerto Rico to face off in a winner-go-home elimination game, and Puerto Rico refused to go down. Despite all the Dominicans showing up loud and proud in Miami to cheer their boys on, Puerto Rico would put up a 4-spot in the third inning, starting off with a Christian Vazquez home run off Jody Cueto, followed by some singles by Francisco Lindor and Kike Hernandez, among other things, to make it 4-0. Juan Soto would answer right back, hitting his second homer of the Classic in the bottom half, with Francisco Lindor hitting an inside-the-park home run for Puerto Rico's 5th run, and that's all they'd need, as Edwin Diaz would come in with his epic entrance, close out the game, and Puerto Rico would officially take out a heavyweight Dominican Republic team to advance to the next round. And then just about the worst thing imaginable happened. The World Baseball Classic is something that Major League Baseball teams are reluctant to be all in on. And it's understandable. At the end of the day, it's all about winning a World Series, and when your players who are getting paid millions of dollars are throwing high leverage innings and playing as hard as they can in the middle of March, it can be worrisome. Sure, it's a risk that I feel is willing to be taken, considering the WBC is such an important thing for baseball in order to grow the game and put it on a pedestal. For an example to show how great it is for popularity, Shohei Ohtani has more than doubled his amount of Instagram followers since the start of the tournament, which was not that long ago. He started with about 1.5 million and now has 3.4 million at the time of me making this video. That's insane. But again, even a massive pro WBC guy like me can understand why teams put limits on their players participating in the tournament, along with not even allowing them to as well. Some teams have held back their players from playing in it in order to keep them on their regular routine to be ready and healthy for the MLB season. To counter that, though, like I said, the WBC is so important for so many different reasons, and I think the risk is something that needs to be taken. With that said, what happened last night is just beyond awful. If you enjoy what you're watching and aren't subscribed yet, hit that button along with the bell for post notifications. After striking out the side to win the game, beat the Dominican Republic, and clinch the next round, Edwin Diaz would soon come crashing to the ground in the middle of the celebration, hurting himself and having to be carried off the field and put into a wheelchair as tears ran down not only his face, but on the face of his brother, Alexis Diaz. The players, who should have been all celebrating the moment, were now shell-shocked and just defeated. It was a horrible scene, an awful aftermath to a terrific game. Kike Hernandez said the clubhouse was quiet afterward and didn't feel like they just beat the Dominican Republic to advance, and everyone just feared the absolute worst. Going into the MRI on Thursday, today, the day after the game, the New York Mets feared the worst, like him having to potentially miss significant time, maybe the entire season. The Mets' worst fears have now been realized. During the celebration, Edwin Diaz tore his patellar tendon in his right knee and is expected to now miss the entire 2023 season. The Mets were already cautious about their all-star closer, someone who they just committed to over $100 million for at least 5 years earlier in the offseason, putting him on a limit for the World Baseball Classic, where he could not pitch in back-to-back days during the tournament until the final round, likely, since it would be in late March, and that's typically normal anyway because he'd be ramping up for the season right before it starts regardless. So Diaz was expected to be more available to pitch by the end of it all if Puerto Rico got that far, but now Diaz is done, not just for the rest of the tournament, but he will very likely not throw a pitch for the Mets this year. That sucks. That sucks for Team Puerto Rico, the Mets, and that sucks for, of course, Edwin Diaz himself, who I'm sure is just broken right now inside. It's just horrible to see this happen, especially when it so easily could have been avoided. I mean, it wasn't like it even happened during the damn game. It was a freak accident while celebrating. It's not the first time players have gotten hurt celebrating in sports, but this has to be up there as one of, if not the worst cases of it happening. You can't blame anyone here. It's not Diaz's fault. It's not the tournament's fault. It's not anyone's fault. It just happened. I do feel like this unfortunately makes anti-WBC fans feel validated, as they now feel like they can say it's a meaningless exhibition that has now ruined a huge part of the Mets' potential success in 2023. But here's the thing, freak accidents can happen at literally any time. They can happen at spring training. Yes, the games aren't anywhere near as intense as they are in the WBC, but we quite literally have an example of it happening just recently, when young Dodgers player Gavin Lux suffered a season-ending injury after a freak accident of him falling running to third base during a game. You know what I mean? And guess what? The Mets literally practiced celebrating during spring training last year. I mean, look at this. Someone very well could have gotten hurt during that. Shit like this just happens. It's horrible that it has to, but it just does. That doesn't mean we need to stop the World Baseball Classic from this point forward. Players also get hurt during the offseason when they are away from their teams. Before getting suspended, Fernando Tatis Jr. missed more than 4 months worth of games because of off-the-field motorcycle accidents that took place back in the Dominican Republic during the offseason. Life is risky, people get hurt, you can do everything you can to avoid it, but there will always be players who get injured, you can't fully prevent it. And that's basically what stars like Mike Trout and Mookie Betts had to say after their game with Team USA, saying as bad as this incident is, freak accidents can happen at any time, with Mookie saying that he still recommends and encourages players to go play for their countries in this tournament as he's had a blast. But the Mets, man, they're as cursed as can be. I know there's the whole LOL Mets meme, but there's of course nothing funny about what just happened. It's horrible and just continues to show how little luck they have, if any. They always seem to deal with crap like this, injuries to guys who have never even had to deal with many injuries, like Max Scherzer, for example, last year. He was never injury prone until 2022, when he was limited to just under 150 innings, which is low for him. In fact, the least amount of innings he's thrown in a full season since his rookie year when he made just 7 starts. Not that Scherzer will be hurt this year, but Diaz will be out. And if you're a Mets fan, it's almost like, what's next? And you're always holding your breath. The World Baseball Classic is still awesome, and nothing can change that. But that doesn't mean what happened with Edwin Diaz isn't beyond awful, sad, and unfortunate, but the Mets are very clearly cursed until further notice. It's just crazy. Let me know your thoughts, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.